Welcome back to episode 2 of the Unscriptd Podcast. If you missed our first episode last week, go back and have a listen. We spoke about who we are, why we started Links Media, and how we did it.
Yep, so this week's episode, we have been hanging to do all week. We've got some really interesting questions that we're going to talk about and give our insights on, and hopefully you enjoy it.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So, first question, straight off the bat. If money and status were no object, what would you do?
I really like this question because, and this follows on to something that I'm going to speak about a bit later in the podcast, but it really enables me to look at the grand scheme of what I want to do and really analyze who I want to be and how I want to get there. And just to more specifically answer the question, to take those two things out of the equation, I want to continue doing everything that we're doing right now. And what that looks like in my head is continuing to build this empire and build this business with my best friend and just do this shit that we love day in, day out. Because at the moment, the life that we're living, it doesn't seem real because we get up every single day, whether it be 4 o'clock, whether it be 5:30, whatever it be. Our steps every single day, the action we take is building something that we love, and it's building a purpose. And I want to, on the grand scheme of things, to build a life that I'm proud of, build something that I'm proud of. I want to build a legacy. I want to have people know me as someone who does what they want, puts out positive messages, follows their values. So to take money and status out of the equation, I just want to continue living the life we're doing and doing all the positive things we're doing.
Yeah. So it is an interesting question because at the end of the day, the result of what we want to do is the money and the cars and all that kind of materialistic stuff. But if the money and the status were taken out of it, I think the answer is the same as what you said. It's just building something that you are truly proud of, and something that you could look back on and say, holy shit, we have done this. We have created this. And having a life that you can look back on and say, fucking oath, like
it's
that's
experiences.
Our life. And Alex Hormozy actually talks about this, and whenever he has a big decision in his life that he needs to make, he breaks it down to which decision is going to make the most epic story.
Absolutely.
And that's what he uses to essentially make the hard decisions. And I think that's really what it is at the end of the day, if your life is a book, you want people to want to read it. You got to have a story that you can tell.
And not only is it the experiences that you have, but it's connections with people that you have. Like the thing that makes this so enjoyable and just makes me want to get up day in, day out is the fact that we're building this together, and we fucking want to do absolutely everything together. So to build something that we can look back on and we can see the progress on, it's just so fulfilling. And being able to do things with the people that you care about, build friendships, build businesses, whatever it be, just building and progressing with the people around you that you love. It's fantastic. And I was actually listening to a podcast last night. It was Frankie Lee and Kayla Itzina's. Thanks, Carls. It was a good recommendation, a great podcast. And something that she brought up was strip everything away from you that you have, the money, the possessions, all that kind of stuff, and analyze who you are, your values, the things that you bring to an empty room. So if you're in an empty room and you walk in, what do you bring to the equation? Are you funny? Do you make people happy? Do you offer real value? Because that's what it comes down to. That's the biggest thing, and that's something that I believe that we do offer, and I think that we are very rich in. And as we're going along the way, we're getting the experiences. So building that life and having all of those little things that are valuable to yourself, that's bigger than any status and any money.
100%. If I was less afraid of other people's opinions, what would I say?
And this one's another really interesting one because one of our biggest messages is fuck other people's opinions and
being authentic,
putting out your message. So I wouldn't exactly say that I don't already portray and project everything that I believe in, and I think that we execute that quite well, and I don't think we're limited by other people's opinions. I think the only difference really would be on a relationship basis, and I'm also very big on having constructive criticism and lifting those around you. However, there's a point of diminishing returns, right? So there may be someone who exhibits a certain behaviors, certain patterns that you don't believe in, not just because you don't believe in it, but you also don't believe that it's in their best interest. And I guess what I'm getting at is, if emotion wasn't attached to how you're trying to influence someone, being you don't want to ruin a relationship over something that you're, I guess, trying to help, or not even help, but just trying to voice your concerns over. I suppose that's the only difference that would make.
You got to find the balance between what's worth it and what's really not.
Yeah.
But I think, for myself, other than that, same thing. I am happy with the content that we're putting out and the messages that we're putting out, and I think that it is being authentic and it is showing people what we're doing and what we're striving for, and being honest with who we are and the things that we believe in and the values that we have. And those things are ever changing, and we will, or not ever changing, sorry, but new things happen, and we might shift our perception on things, but at the end of the day, just putting out the messages that we actually believe in, and not Absolutely. Just saying things for the sake of other people and things like that. I think that we're doing a great job at that, and really putting out a strong, authentic message.
And actually, I guess to answer that, it's not a big thing that I heard this on an Alex Hormozy podcast. It's not always your ability to say yes, but it's also your ability to say no. And that means if there's something so say someone wanted to come on our podcast, because everyone wants to come on the podcast.
Of course, why wouldn't you want to come on the podcast?
Just a good example, Chris Williamson spoke about it. So he's got Modern Wisdom, which is one of the biggest podcasts in the world, and he says that he's turned down millions of dollars in endorsements and people coming on the podcast because he doesn't believe in what they're speaking of. So it's not just you putting out what you believe in, but it's also
what you accept and
tolerate. It's what you accept. So if your no doesn't mean anything, how can your yes mean anything?
No, I like that frame. This next one's good. What actually makes you happy?
This makes me happy. Doing shit that, like, this here is a moment in time that can never be replicated exactly the same, because nothing can happen twice, because there's going to be always something a little bit different. So having experiences like this and waking up every day to do things like this makes me happy. Some of the things that we've done in the past, we've had no right to do, but doing things that you've got no right to do and doing them well and making them work, like that is something that makes me happy. And that's something that I pride myself on, because I love making the most out of every opportunity. And I guess a more easy way to answer that is just being an opportunist, if that's how you say that word. It's just taking every opportunity that's presented with you, whether you don't think you're qualified for it, whether you think you're qualified for it, and just making the most of it. And going back to the first question too, just having good relationships, doing the things that you want to do, following your values, living the life that you want to live, not living within other people's expectations. That's what makes me happy.
I like it. I think for myself, I can nail it down to two things. And the first thing being seeing the people around me, the people that I care about, the people that I love being happy.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
For myself, like, you feed off other people's energy, right? And the people that you're around. So as a consequence of them being happy, you're also going to be happy and in good moods. But seeing other people happy, and like seeing my dad happy, and you and my mates and just all my family and the people that I'm close to, is so much more important to me than my own happiness. And I obviously, you need to be happy. You need to chase things that you need to, you need to be enjoying it. But I think that for myself, I wouldn't quantify myself in achieving things as myself being happy. I would, every single day of the week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I would sacrifice my happiness and be very angry and upset in return for everybody else around me being happy. I love seeing everybody else around me in good moods and happy about things, and I think that's really what makes me happy, is other people's happiness. But
the thing with that too is that, as you said, you feed off other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So It's so interesting because there are a lot of people in the world who, on the surface, seem fine, like their goal is to make everyone else happy, and deep down they may not be happy themselves. But I think that in order to be happy, and look, I'm no therapist, I'm not trying to give out any, even though I'm not qualified for this, I'm not trying to give out any help or such, but this is genuinely how I feel. I think that if you can be in an environment where everyone around you is happy and everything's positive and you're making people happy, in return, if you're not happy, it should make you a little bit more happy.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'm not qualified to speak on the topic, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, no, 100%. The second thing that makes me happy is just constantly bettering myself and seeing growth, like being able to look back and see where I was 6 months ago, where I was 2 years ago, etc., to where I am now.
Yeah.
And seeing that growth and development, that truly makes me happy. And seeing growth in things and bettering myself every single day and doing things that result in being a better person and moving towards the places that I want to be is really makes me happy as well.
I'm very glad you bring that up, actually, because I've got something that I want to speak about now. That a few weeks ago, I was on a road trip with my nan, and we were driving back from Newcastle, and no music, just with talking for 6 hours straight.
Raw dog, innit?
Raw dog. And we could never run out of conversation. It's just, that's an environment where I'm happy, and like connecting with someone I absolutely love, one of my absolute dogs. Shout out to Tony.
Shout out to Tony.
And something that she's really big on is, and I'll tell her the reason why, is when she was young, she was 23, my mum was 3 weeks old, her husband and my mum's dad passed away in a car crash. So from that moment on, she's been very big on living your life to the fullest, taking every opportunity, doing things day in, day out that make you happy. You never know how long you've got, so just make the most of it. And that's something that she really projects on me, that you need to do these things, and I absolutely do those things, right? I do what makes me happy. And since the age of 14 to the age of now, like, I've always wanted to be an NRL player, so I've always trained really hard. I haven't gone out to parties. What people perceived as missing out on opportunities and missing out on having fun, that's just what aligns with my goals and my path I want to go on. And something that my nan verbalised to me is that she's very proud and very happy that I'm on this path and doing these things to achieve these goals, but she's just been very vocal on, at the end of the day, like, it's very good to work hard and do all these things, but you need to also have fun and do these things. You never know how long you've got. You need to make sure you're happy. And to answer that, and I told her this, and I actually think that when I verbalized it to her like this, it gave her a bit of relief that she knows that I'm doing everything that's making me happy. I'm not missing out on these things. That what makes me happy is what I'm doing right now. And if I was to die today, I would die a very happy man, because what makes me happy is getting to my goals and being a better person, like what you said. So to some people, being happy is going out and partying every weekend, spending time with their friends, going to work, doing all that. Whereas what makes me happy is not partying and going and training and going and working very hard and doing all these things that align to being the person I want to be. Because if I was to substitute the things that I'm doing now and going out and having these parties and doing these things, and I was to be on my deathbed today, I'd be in a much better position to look back at how I lived my life although other people think it's crazy to say this, but I find happiness in doing the hard things and working hard towards something that I want. So I would die in a much better position doing everything I'm doing now, opposed to going and living life as everyone else says. So that's something else that makes me happy.
What is your definition of success?
It's a good one, because I think people, and by my definition, people get success wrong. People look at success as what happens at the end of your life, when success is every single day. Success is the accumulation of your daily results and your daily habits that at the end of the road, that's the bigger picture. But people are unhappy day to day because they feel as if they're not at that success. But if you were to break it down, if you're to have every single day where you're building to something, so just as an example, you want to be the greatest athlete in the world. for you to be successful, it's not to be the greatest athlete in the world, but it's to spend every single day becoming the greatest athlete in the world. If you can, at the end of every day, you can look back and think, okay, today I have progressed towards my goal. I've done all the necessary steps. That's what success is. Success is feeling valuable within yourself and just living the life that you want to live and having the relationships around you to do that.
100%. This question, I like this question because, and I think it's very important that everybody knows that there is not one definition of success, and success is something that you need to figure out what it is for you, because it's different for absolutely everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
And for myself, what success is I think success is living the life that you want to live. And I get a lot of criticism for this because, when people say success, they think the money, the cars, the girls, the houses. And don't get me wrong, I want those things. I'm not going to lie. I fucking want those things really bad. And I will have those things. But that is not the definition of success. Success, to me, is living the life, like the life that I want to live, and being able to do whatever that I want to do on any given time. And for me, I want to live an extraordinary life. I don't want to be confined to only be able to live the life that the other 95% of people get to live. Like, for me, just being able to do everything and anything and have all the experiences and go to every single place in the world. And yes, having money is cool and is a sub-product of being successful, I suppose you could say, or a tool. Success is the ability to do the things you want to do. And so regardless of what it is for you, I think it's just important to remember that for you to be successful, you need to be doing the things to get you to the life that you want to live and be able to do the things you want to do. If you want to if you want to get a job that you absolutely fucking love and love showing up to every single day and spend time with your kids and all that stuff, that is success. That's a successful life.
Correct.
To some people.
Correct.
It's different for everybody. And there's a lot of criticism when we say we want to be really successful, because it's straight away you want the materialistic things, blah, blah, blah.
Which is not even half the truth, because as you've gone on about, success is, to everyone's different. So it's criminal to tell people that they can't be successful by their own metrics, because anyone can be successful by their own definition, right? So it just comes down to what you want. And just to, I guess, go back to what I said initially as well, not in this topic, but at the start of the podcast, is if you were to strip everything away from yourself, if you've got a loving family, a group of friends that love you, stories to tell, you've got things that you're proud of, you've had achievements, you've built things, you've gone through hardships, you've come out on the other side. That's success.
And that's the other thing, right? Like being able to tell the story. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, have you lived a successful life? What story are you able to tell?
Yeah.
What are you able to tell your grandkids and kids? Are they going to be like, whoa, Grandpa, that's so cool? Like those kind of things. Like they all contribute to a successful life, I believe.
Absolutely.
Being able to tell the story. What are the things that I'm hiding from myself?
This one's a big one for me, because especially with the way that I want to project myself now in being really authentic and being authentic to everyone else about how I feel. For a long time, I wasn't being authentic to myself. And what I mean is, from the age of 14 until 18, all I ever wanted to be was an NRL player. Like, that was 24/7, all I could ever think about. I'd get up in the morning before school, train, go to school. I moved from a small town called Lennox Head, where there's not much opportunity, to Keebra Park here on the Gold Coast to pursue that dream. Train before school, go to school, all my mates, everyone surrounded around me, want to be an NRL player. We'd play footy at lunch, we'd train footy, we'd talk footy, go home, train.
Everything was footy.
Everything. And I was consumed by it, and that's because I loved it at the time, and that's what I wanted to be. My goal was, goals change, things change. My goal was to be an NRL player, but my goal was to be a rugby league player, because I loved rugby league and that's what I wanted to do. And come to around year 11, I started to have a bit of a shift in how I viewed everything. From the beginning, I've always wanted, and this answering from the first question, I've always wanted the status, and I've always wanted to build a life and be someone. And for myself, rugby league was the way to do it, and I didn't know anything else. And I started to find myself in a situation where I still loved the training, I still loved showing up day in, day out, I still loved all of that stuff, but rugby league itself was transitioning from something that I loved into something that I had to do. And I'd find that game day would come around and it wasn't the same. It wasn't game day for me anymore. I had to be there, I had to play, I had to do this. And it was quite draining because this was something that I absolutely love and I'm not getting that enjoyment out of it. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And like I said, that was the only way I knew how to achieve this life and be a successful person to myself and then to the people around me whose opinions I do value, like my parents, my family, my friends. Everyone's perception of me is I'm going to be this superstar NRL player and that I'm going to be very successful. And within myself, I felt, fuck, I've got a standard to withhold. Like, I have to go and do this. I'm obliged to do it. And I would have ran it to the end of the earth. Even though I wasn't enjoying rugby league itself, whether in 15 years' time I'm the greatest NRL player of all time or I was still trying to make it, I would have just pursued that day in, day out, whether it made me happy, whether it didn't, because that was the way to get to my big goal. And it wasn't until we started this that I then realized that there was more opportunities for myself and it's even more aligned to who I want to be. This allows me to reach that success and of status, influence, project positive messages. I want to be someone who can project how to work hard, how to overcome adversity, how to value the things that are really important in life, your family, your connections with people, all these things. And I find that I'm able to and will be able to do this better in the new direction we're heading in with being businessmen, being entrepreneurs, being influencers as such, if that's how it's framed, whatever the fuck we are. Just being the people we are, that's who I want to be. I no longer want to be Riley Baharov, the rugby league player. I want to be Riley Baharov, the person.
Yeah. The
person who offers value to people, not just the person who goes out and performs on a field. Because being an athlete, and some people might not think this is true, but I can definitely tell you from being an athlete, and I'm sure many athletes would agree with me, that your character and your value as a person is very aligned to your performance on the field. And I wanted to step away from that because, number one, I wasn't even enjoying the performance on the field. And if I'm not enjoying that, then why the fuck am I doing it?
Well, that's right. And, we'll talk about this a bit later, but back to the question, what were you hiding from yourself?
I was hiding the reality that I want to live, and I was hiding that footy was no longer the thing that was going to get me to be that person. And the reason I was hiding it is because I'd attached so much of my identity to this one thing that everyone around me perceived me as that, and I perceived myself as that. So I was hiding the fact that I no longer wanted to be that, and it was really hard to accept and I guess move in another direction. And finding this, what we're doing now, it really has allowed me to go in the new direction and be authentic to myself. And the thing that I was hiding is that I no longer want to be a rugby league player, but I want to be the greatest person of all time that I can be for myself. And I want to do everything that I'm doing now. So I'm no longer hiding that I'm trying to chase something that I don't want to do, and I'm coming out story. As silly as it sounds, but I want to continue everything we're doing now and be the person I am now, and I don't want to live in the past and live as the past person that I was. So that's getting it off my chest. I'm no longer hiding from that reality.
There you go. Everyone knows. So, for myself, I'm not going to call it lucky, but I don't feel as though that I have anything significant in my life that I've been really hiding from myself. Like, I've always kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do in this kind of sense, and I'm now chasing that, and I just am learning everything and unveiling things about myself, I suppose, as we go on. But I don't think I have anything that I can contribute to that I was hiding from myself as such. But what are the emotions that I'm unprepared to feel?
A big one we speak about, and this is something that we reference from, yet again, Alex Hormozy. There's so much value in what he's experienced from the
Wise man.
Very wise man. And there's a thing he references called the lonely chapter, which for us is something that we're going to step into very shortly. And the reason that is, we are, now that we've stepped into this foreign field for us, like business and entrepreneurship, we've been in it for 8 months. However, we're absolute babies in the grand scheme of things. We know nothing, and we've got a long journey to go. And coming from my last point where I was supposed to be this NRL player and do all these things, now that I've stepped away from that, and now that we're pursuing this, as we know, results don't come overnight. So we're very early into the journey. So
in the gap between
where we
were
and
where we want to be.
Currently, we're in the valley of disappointment. So we're doing all the things and getting to where we want to be. However, those results aren't being shown, not only to ourselves, but even just what everyone else can see. Like, people can't see the hours we're putting into the perceived return that we're going to get from it. So we're going to enter a period in the next 12 to 60 months where we're no longer a part of the group we used to be. We're no longer these, because when we're going through school, you're perceived, especially us two, as people who are doing well for their age. We're quite likable, we've got good charisma, good at sports, good at this, and you're perceived as, I guess, successful for within your means. And we're now
dropped in the big bad world.
Yeah, now we're in the deep end where we've essentially got nothing to it, and we're no longer a part of this comfortable realm of our lives. But we're also not a part of that new echelon where we want to get to. So we're just kind of floating around in the middle and essentially lost in terms of anything that we can set ourselves to in terms of our new reality. And I think that it's just going to be, we're not prepared to deal with how it feels to be lost, and is this really working? Like, we're doing all this, we haven't seen the results, kind of thing. And like, we know it's coming. And especially for myself, transitioning from footy, like, I'm going to have friends debuting NRL in the next few years. I'm going to think, fuck, we haven't hit that success yet. We will. We haven't hit it yet. And these people are doing these great things. Like, what if I did this? What if I did that? But the thing is, you just got to be fucking dial into the one thing, and then just, we've got to embrace what's about to come, I suppose.
Yeah. And just following on from what you were saying, I think that it's one thing to expect and know that it's coming. It's another thing to be prepared to feel that way. And I think even though we know it's coming, for you and myself, for myself, I'll speak from my own experience for this. And my family has always known me as like an overachiever, essentially. And in everything I did, I did very well. In school, in sports, in just about anything I do, my family knows me as somebody that succeeds in whatever I try. And I think that although we both know that we will succeed, and it's only a matter of when, not if, the lonely chapter that you speak about, that we're about to go in, where we are doing all this work for so long now, or not really that long, but a period of time where we don't really have anything to show for it, and we're not at that next echelon of where we want to be. And I don't think I'm prepared to feel how my family will view me as not being that achiever and doing something and not having that but succeeding straight away. Because, I mean, we know these things take time, but there is that stage where, okay, well, you've had a business now for 2 years, you said you're going to be successful, or it looks like you've been doing something for so long, and whilst you might be just under the turning point of where you skyrocket, you haven't got there yet, and you've essentially failed until you succeed.
Yeah, and it's funny that I know a lot of older people are going to be looking at this thinking, oh, come on, what? Stop being silly. And the reason that we have this perception of it is because in retrospect to how long we've been alive, 2 years at something as in-depth as this, where we're all our focus in, that's a long time. Like, obviously for people who've been doing 40, 50 years old, who've been in business, done all these things over a longer period of time, have more life experience, that's a very short period of time to get the results we're looking for. And we're just uneducated and we're not mature enough to realize it yet, that for us, this feels like a big section of our life just because our life hasn't been that long yet and we haven't actually experienced that much. So stepping into something like this and not seeing direct results, like what you do in school, you do something in school, you see results. You do something as an athlete, you see results in a shorter period of time, opposed to what we're going to experience in this. And it's just all a learning curve, and it's something that is going to happen, and it's just a matter of time till we have to adapt to it and take the punches.
What is winning to you?
Winning is the actionable steps to success. So we spoke about success before being the overarching goal and the thing at the end of the day that you can look back on. But to be more specific, winning is the small things along the way to that success. So just to break it down, for you to have a successful day, you had to achieve X, Y, and Z. So winning looks like setting that day up to achieve those things. For myself, it'd be getting out of bed, going training in the gym, going and then having a good breakfast, going then doing lots of work, followed by another training session, going and having a good interaction with someone that I care about, going having another good meal, sauna, whatever it be. It's the small steps and the small details along the way. And I guess the best way to put it is winning doesn't happen on the field. Like, winning isn't lifting the trophy after the grand final. Winning is those little momentum builders throughout preseason when things are hard, when the team's has to come together, when training's getting repetitive and you got to do this over and over, your body's exhausted, you're fucked, you don't want to keep going. Winning is made and comprised throughout the journey to the success, and it's climbing the mountain that is the winning, and the perceived success and the perceived win is at the top of the mountain. Where you got to break it down to all the little things that got you there.
It's an interesting one to talk about because we speak about winning a bit, and how life is a competition and you need to be competing. You are competing against other people, and to break what is winning down? Are you trying to win against other people? Are you trying to win against yourself? Do you have to win the day? Like, what actually is it? And I think what you said, absolutely, and winning the day and winning the small things to become that person or that status that is successful, I think is accurate, taking those actionable steps. But I think to break it down, you have to do the small actionable steps to be better than you were yesterday.
Yep.
And to being better than you were yesterday over and over again, ultimately you outcompete other people. So when you break it down, all said and done, to beat other people, you have to be better than you were yesterday. And to be better than you were yesterday, you have to be doing the small things. And I like the way you framed how there's the trophy at the end, which is success, and winning is the process of getting to that thing and getting that trophy. So doing the small things is winning, and winning each day, and the process and the steps that you take to get to that trophy is winning, I think. Yeah. So let's talk about perspective. And I think it's for myself, I actually have a tattoo. I got perspective tattooed on me with the letters all in different ways, because I think it's so important to be able to look at things from different angles and be able to, analyze certain situations and problems from different perspectives. Like, if let's say you're working, right? You have a problem that you head into with one single solution, and the solution does not work. The only way you can solve the problem is by looking at it from different angles and attacking it from different angles and using different perspectives to work that out. And same thing if you're in an argument, or not even an argument, just a conversation with somebody, and being able to see their perspective on an idea or a concept allows you to grow and learn. And like, being single-minded and narrow-minded and thinking there's only one way to do something is probably the worst way you could live your life, really.
Correct. And without perspective, you rob yourself of growth and opportunities for things. So a good example, when I was in year 10, when I first moved up here to play footy, I broke my arm at training and I ended up missing out on the whole season pretty much. Played one game, came back and broke my arm again. And if I was to look back at that time now as, oh, fuck, I missed this opportunity. I could have been in this situation now. Because I didn't play this game, I didn't make this team, or I didn't get seen for this next opportunity. I could look at it from the perspective of this just ruined further opportunity in my life and I'm now set back further than what I could be. However, I've chosen to look at it in the way of, yes, this negative thing happened to me, but I then reframed the way I look at it to be, okay, this happened, but look how I bounced back from it. I remember I was in a cast, like a full up to my shoulder, and I would be in the gym training legs 3 times a week, doing hack squats, doing the squats where the safety bar, that's what it is, doing all these things because, okay, I can't do that, so I'll change my perspective of thinking and do what I can do. And now looking back at it as a bigger picture, I've now learned how to overcome with these things. And when you're not able to take an opportunity in one way, if you change the way you go at that, you can learn a whole new skill, or you could get something completely different out of a situation that you couldn't have before. So perspective is one of the most powerful things for growth, because you never know what you can learn or never know what you can take from a certain situation.
Are you familiar with the story of the Chinese farmer?
I am, but enlighten us because it's fantastic.
So the story of the Chinese farmer goes, the farmer has a horse and the horse runs away, and all the neighbours come over and say to the farmer, oh my god, that's terrible, I'm so sorry, like, giving them all this grief. And the farmer responds with, it might not be terrible, we don't know yet, we'll see tomorrow. And the next day, in the distance, the horse comes back with, his son found the horse, his son's riding the horse back, and the neighbours all come and go, oh my god, that's so great, the horse has come back with your son and everything's so good. And so, well, we don't know if it's good, we'll see tomorrow. And sure enough, the next day, the son's riding the horse and falls off and breaks his back, and the neighbours all come and say, oh my god, that's so terrible, again, grieving for him. And the farmer says, we don't know, we'll see tomorrow. And the next day, the army come by and they're enlisting everybody that is under 25 and able-bodied and to work, to go to war. And the son that fell off the horse has a broken back, so he can't go. And obviously it's a good thing, right? And the moral of the story is that you don't know whether something's good or bad, and everything happens for a reason. When something happens, especially shit things happen, you think, this is the fucking worst thing in the world, why is this happening to me, fucking what's going on? But in retrospect, it might be a good thing that's happened to you. You never know, and it's all about shifting your perspective on things, because when something happens, it's so easy to say, fuck, why am I, like, I've just got the worst luck in the world, everything's happening, but you don't know the series of events that come from that.
Correct. And sorry to interrupt you, but when you analyse everything that happens to you, whether it's good, bad, whatever it be, you're actually robbing yourself from being able to experience that situation and being able to take different views from it. So when something happens, whether it's the best thing in the world or it's the worst thing in the world, don't overanalyze how it's going to play out in the future and what's going to come from it, but actually just experience it, and the things that come along with it, whether they're good, whether they're bad, good.
That's right. And everything that's happened to you in the past has made you the person who you are today, right? Like you can think back now to anybody can look back at a situation and think, why did that happen to me? That was the worst thing ever. But without those events happening, you wouldn't be who you are today. Who you are is the result of a sequence of events happening, good and bad.
Correct. Yeah, you are the product of your past actions.
But yeah, no, the reason I got it tattooed on me is because I live every day trying to have an open mind about things and being able to have the perspective, or be able to adapt my perspective on things and learn and grow. And
love it. Do you mind taking your shirt off for everyone just so we can see it?
Might break the camera.
And your pants too.
I will save that for
Next episode.
next episode. So, going on from what we spoke about a bit earlier in the podcast, we're lucky to be alive, right? And the reason you have to enjoy and essentially be happy with what you're doing in your life is because there's such a finite amount of time that you have to actually live. There's this huge, realms of darkness essentially, and in between there's this tiny little window of light which is life, and you have the ability to live. I think the odds are 1 in 400 trillion to be alive. 1 in 400 trillion. It's a big number. You only get this go around once.
Absolutely. And something that I revolve my life around and that the people closest to me embody is something that I've actually got tattooed on me, on my ribs, similar spot to yours, is doing the most. And for me, what that looks like is, not even to overcomplicate, it's literally making the most of every single day, every opportunity that's presented, go and do it. Like for ourselves, we'll get up at, say, 4:30, go play golf, go to the gym, go play golf, go and work, go play golf, go to the gym,
Go play golf.
do a podcast, do content, go out for dinner with someone, work. Just making the most out of every single day and just doing more than what should be done, I guess, because most people would look at what we do in a week and think, fuck, that's what I do in like a month or a year. How? And it's because nothing is promised. As we know, there is no tomorrow. So if you don't make the most and do the most out of today's 24 hours, you could miss the opportunity and miss the boat, and tomorrow you can't go back. So we're just both so big on making the most out of everything and doing the most out of it. Doing the most, because you've only got one opportunity at it, so fucking go and do it.
That's right. And there's something that I've seen a lot quite recently, actually, and it's people talking about how you can be, fast forward, you're 50 now, you have everything that you've ever worked for, and you've got the cars, you've got everything, you've got all the things that you wanted. You would give it up in an instant to be back and be 18 again and live your younger life back. The value of and the richness that young people have is not, it's hard to recognize, because obviously you don't know any different as a young person. You can only see once you've got there, and it's difficult to really think about at this age. But that's why going on from what you said, that's why we do the most and why we try and make the most out of every day, because once that 50 years is up, if you fucked around for 20 years or whatever and didn't make the most of every day, there's so much wasted time. And like I said at the start, you can't
go back.
To start with, there's only this finite amount of time that you have to live. Why wouldn't you want to do it to the best of your ability? And also not to just enjoy the ride,
Yeah, because 99% of your life is the climb. You get to the top of the mountain, you get these things, but as we know, behind mountains are more mountains. So you may get to a goal and may get to a thing and realize, fuck, now there's the next thing, and you spend that next 99% of that journey on the climb. So if you're not enjoying the climb, then you're doing it all wrong. So for that big thing you want to do, you have to make it enjoyable. You have to actually want to do it, and that's how we've ended up in this situation. And another thing is that your life is broken down into time frames. So we had the time frame when I moved up here from year 10 to year 12, that 3-year period. I was at school with all of my best mates, training, doing all this stuff with everyone, and that time frame's now elapsed and we're no longer there. And I look back and I think, fuck, that was such a sick time being with all the boys doing all these things. And I look back at that time and I miss it because I was so good, but I don't regret it because we made the most out of every single day, and we got everything out of that time period. So there's nothing that we look back and think, oh, I wish I did more of this, I wish I did more of that. And we're now in that next time frame that we're the young business owners, where silly, we make these mistakes, we do these things, but we're making the most out of it. So when we do look back, it's not going to be, oh, I wish I did this different. It's going to be like, oh, I wish I could do more of it. But at the end of the day, if that's the position you're able to be in, that you've done everything and you just reminisce on it, and then you continue in that new chapter of your life to continue doing the most, then you're fucking winning. That goes back to the principles of winning and success. That to me is success.
Absolutely. And it's, once again, to put out one single message is, yes, you have to do the things necessary to be where you want to be, but you have to enjoy your life. Like, whatever it is that you're aiming for, like for us, we enjoy working and doing all these things to get to where we want to be. We genuinely enjoy it. For anybody else, whatever you're doing, you have to enjoy the ride, because like you said, there's nothing that is guaranteed except for dying. And if you don't enjoy the time that you have alive, then what's the point, essentially? Whether your dream is to go and work this job that you just fucking love turning up to. I'll use this example because it can be for anybody, whatever you want to do. If you want to be a fighter, if you want to be fucking a businessman.
Mechanic.
Exactly. Like
anything.
Just go and do what you want to do and enjoy it. Because if not, what's the point?
Beautiful.
You got to enjoy what you're doing.
It's magic.
So in the first episode, we just kind of spoke a little bit about, who we are, introduced ourselves and talked about our background. And we've spoken a little bit about it in this episode as well. But what is it actually that makes us want to be successful? Why do we want to be successful? And what else is there that we haven't spoken about ourselves that is important to talk about?
I think the majority of the things we believe in and our, goals that we want to achieve and put out there to be known, we've covered for the most part. I think if anything was to be missed, it's more that we haven't elaborated enough and made it as apparent of how much of a driving force these things are. Like, everything that we've spoken about in terms of building these legacies, being successful in the terms that we've already explained, putting out these positive values to everyone, I suppose, that's what comprise us. Like, besides these huge muscles and bones, that's what makes us up. Like, all of these things we've just spoken about, that's us. They're not just things that we believe in, but that's actually what makes us who we are. That's why when we walk into a room, there's not 10 other people like us, because we have our different values, we have our different beliefs. So I suppose the only thing that I could anything I could add further is everything that I say and I believe in, I want people to know that that's true. So if you're listening, if there's something in your life that is lingering in the background, you want to pursue it, you want to go do it, it doesn't matter what excuses you may think there is to stop you from doing it. Maybe people think this about you. There might be an element that it's hard. Fuck all of that and go and do it. Because at the end of the day, you won't live up to your success. Even though your perception may be different to how we think of success, you cannot and will not live a experience-rich and a life to the best of your ability if you don't go and do it. You just need to go and do these things. And I can't stress it enough, because to give an example, it's like 11 o'clock on a Thursday and we're sitting in an empty house recording a podcast by ourselves because we want to do this. And this is, we're not going and enslaving to do shit we don't want to do. We're building a life that we want to live. So if there's something you want to go and do it. And if there's anything I can contribute to, just know that I myself am someone who goes against what is typically normal to do. And Wallace is the exact same. Like, we're doing things and building things that we want to do. So if there's anything else that we can provide and get across, is go and do that thing.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And going off all the things, all the questions that we've spoken about and giving our own insight on for our own, from our personal experience, is go and ask yourself these same questions and figure out what success is to you and chase it. Go and do the things that are required to live the life you want to live, because as we've spoken about, you only get one go, and you can't live under everybody else's rules. If you want to live this life, go and live this life. Go and do the things that you need to do to live that life. Don't be confined by what everybody else thinks you should do, and just live like everybody else. whatever it is that you want to do, go and do it and enjoy it. And
Absolutely. It's as simple as being honest with yourself and just projecting the things that the answers to these questions can change your life. I'm fucking sure of it.
We'll put the questions down in the description.
We will.
But I think that ultimately wraps us up for this episode. Is there anything else you want to speak about?
I am very happy, and I feel that this podcast was a win, even though we had to record it 3 times because we've had camera malfunctions or whatever. We've been sitting here for a very long time.
Technical issues, woohoo.
But this here is another win into our ever-building success. And it's a pleasure. I fucking love doing this, and we look forward to the next one.
That's it. Thanks for watching, everyone, again, and we'll be back next week.